my city, Namibia. Today in studio we are joined by Ms. Aina Vilengi Kaundu to talk to us about the role of BIPA in Namibia's business ecosystem. Ms. Kaundu, good morning and welcome to our studios.
Good morning.
Good to have you. Now let's start with our conversation right away. I would like to know, please introduce BIPA and its mandate.
Thank you very much for having us. We are the Business and Intellectual Property Authority. We are established in terms of an act, and the key mandate is simply to drive entrepreneurship, to regulate the market, as well as to drive innovation. In a simple sense, we are created to enable a conducive environment for business in Namibia, as well as promote creativity and innovation. So in terms of that mandate, we used to be in the Ministry of Trade a number of years ago, but government felt that we needed to drive the private sector as well as the market in terms of ensuring that the private sector contribute to the economy. And so the bureaucracy that you would naturally find in a ministry was not conducive to drive this agenda. That is why BIPA was constituted.
How does BIPA's mandate align with international standards and best practices?
So to begin with, the idea of starting your business is for you to create a legacy. I'm reminded of Popkavits, the late Popkavits. He said that the goal is not to live forever, but to build something that will. So a business is there to create a legacy. And in doing that, you would want to have an environment that is transparent, an environment that is credible, that you can trust in order to conduct your business. But we will also find that there are those that are creating entities not to create legacies, but to launder monies, to be able to fund terrorism, to be able to conduct criminal activities instead of business activities. And so it is with that the United Nations community has come up with some standards of transparency or disclosure in the form of beneficial ownership, whereby generally, for example, in private companies, you would know who the directors are. You may not necessarily know who the shareholders are, whether it is now the enforcement community and so forth. However, through these UN standards, there's now a requirement for entities to disclose who the natural person behind that entity is, so that the entity is not used for these criminal activities. So in that light, we amended our laws to be able to provide for these mechanisms and ensure that we are transparent and we just create that disclosure mechanism. It all goes to creating a trusted market, creating confidence in the market, creating a credible market.
What services does BIPA offer?
So the first one, which I'm sure that the Namibian nation is aware of, is the business registration. So we have two vehicles under that. We have the smaller vehicle, which is your close corporation. It is really for startups, for young people, those that would want to perhaps test the market. So you would have your close corporation, and you can have one member who is normally the owner, to up to 10 members or 10 owners. And then we have the bigger vehicle, which are established companies, the multinationals, the foreign companies would opt for. Of course, in terms of governance and in terms of reporting requirements, the private companies, which are the bigger vehicles, of course, have vigorous requirements and reporting obligations. But for the smaller vehicle, because we are catering for the youth, we are catering for startups, for the small and media enterprises, the reporting obligations are lower. So that is the one aspect of the mandate. But we are also aware that it's not enough just for you to register your business. You want to be competitive. And in you becoming competitive, you need to make use of branding, for example. So the other side of our mandate, or the second mandate, is the protection of intellectual property rights. So you will then find your brands, which are called the trademarks. You will also want to be innovative in terms of your products, because that is what will make you sustainable in the market. Not only are you competitive in terms of making sure that your customers know your products and your services, but also that you innovate and come up with new products, and that is the patents. We also protect the look and feel of certain products in the form of a design. For example, we can protect the look and feel of a perfume bottle, as an example, even though the perfume may be the same, but someone might prefer to buy a certain shape or a shape of a car. You would be able to know whether the car is a Mercedes or a car is a BMW just by the shape. And then the other big thing which this new administration has prioritized is the creative industry. So this is your music, this is your artworks, your books. So this is the creative side. We also protect that through copyright. So in a nutshell, that is what we do. I think on the business side, we like to equate ourselves to what Home Affairs does in terms of ensuring that every person is licensed to be a Namibian. So you have your birth certificate. So BIPA is like your production house for legal entities. And then after you become an entity, we want you to be competitive, we want you to be innovative, and we want you to be creative. So that sums up our services.
What is good standing, and why is it important for a company to have a good standing?
So like I said earlier, it's all about having a trusted market. It's all about having a credible, a conducive market. You want to be able to trust that the business that you are dealing with, the entity that you are dealing with, is indeed the entity that it says it is. So in terms of our business good standing, it is really there to ensure that number one, entities comply with the obligations. We are all aware that so as an entity, you do have the right to exist once you are licensed to exist, but there are also obligations. So there are maintenance. We are busy maintaining your books, your entity as an organization. So your obligation is to ensure that you meet your obligations in terms of the payment of your annual duty, as well as disclosing who the natural person that benefits from this business or that controls this business. So those are some of the few compliance requirements that is expected of every responsible entity. And really the perspective is, for every right that we have, there are responsibilities or there are obligations. And that is what brings the balance in the market.
Please talk to us about which entities would not qualify for a good standing certificate.
So for those entities that do not meet their annual obligations, for example, we have entities that registered in 1970s, 1980s, and since then they have never paid the annual duties. Since then, even after the introduction of the amendment to require disclosure of beneficial ownership, they've never filed their beneficial ownership. So those entities that do not, number one, they are not transparent. Number two, they do not comply, or they do not honor their commitment or their obligation in terms of the payment of the annual duties. Those are not good for business.
Okay.
It's not only for the sake of BIPA, but if you are unable to honor your obligations, then surely you cannot be trusted. You cannot be trusted in terms of your offerings, your services, or your products. So the market cannot trust you. Your consumers cannot trust you because you are an irresponsible legal entity.
Okay. What steps can a company take to rectify its non-compliant status?
So for those that have found themselves non-compliant, and there are those that have contacted our officers and they say they are unable to continue with their legal entity, and they had asked us to deregister, and then perhaps the opportunities open up for you and you want to reinstate or restore your company, you can approach BIPA. The law does provide for that. You can come back to BIPA, and then you just ensure that you honor your obligations. Like I said, you pay for your annual duties, as well as you file your beneficial ownership information. Then BIPA will restore you and you'll be able to conduct business again.
That's good. Now let's talk about BIPA's achievements. What has BIPA achieved since inception?
So we do not want to blow our own horn, but sometimes it's good to take the public into confidence and just welcome them into some of our success stories. The first one, all the SOEs are now beginning to work on their graduate program and policies due to the request from the 8th administration. We are pleased to say that BIPA had foresight. 3 years ago, we introduced our graduate program where we worked with universities, and these universities will provide us with the best of their final students, final year students, and then we were able to then grant them an opportunity and expose them to the working environment. It is one of the successful things that we have done. So when the announcement came, we were not beginning with policies and guidelines. We were rather assisting other SOEs to develop their policies and guidelines. It has been a successful, and it continues to be a successful program. We have seen a release of those that came just with theory and had knowledge becoming professionals and releasing them into the market. A number of our graduates have been poached because now they are able to demonstrate skill and ready for the market. So that is one of the key programs that we are running successfully. Another thing as an SOE, and one that is expected to become financially sustainable, we boast our strategy, number one, to be financially prudent in that we manage our cost very well. We have mastered the skill to be able to live within our means. But that's not all. We have also mastered and continue to master the strategies to grow our revenue to be able to become financial sustainable. We are not yet there, but we are happy to note that we do not have to rely heavily. If you look at our numbers, we are able to fund ourselves, but of course we are a creature of statute and government remains our parent, so we do get support, but at least we are able to drive our revenue growth. So that is another thing that BIPA is doing very well. The other thing is we are taking the decentralization very seriously. We have opened in Valfesbai as our Erongo office, and we have also recently, we opened last year in November, our Ongwediva office for the, it's not just the Oshana region, because you know the geographical dynamics in the north, that it's able to cater for 4 to 5 regions. So it is really our northern region. And we are in the process of working towards opening an office in Rundu as well as in Kietmaswap. And what informs this is really the population, the potential, and of course the number of applications. So in terms of accessing our services, we have been able to come closer to the people. Another thing, and I just want to tie it, because we have heard an outcry in terms of accessibility of our services using systems. So we are in the process. It is in the public domain that the CPBN is in the process of awarding a bid, and that will enable us to not only reach you physically, but that our services and our products can reach you also online. So those are some of the highlights that are in the pipeline.
Ms. Kaundu, those are notable achievements. As we're nearing the end of our conversation, let's focus on what is people focusing on now and in future.
Thank you very much. I said earlier that this function used to reside in the Ministry of Trade and Industry. And the government felt that we needed to create efficiency, we needed to be able to improve the starting of business in Namibia, we needed to be able to improve the environment within which people do business in Namibia. So our focus is to create that efficiency. We have turned around most of our services. Those that are experiencing us and really coming to receive our services, they would see that the waiting period has reduced drastically. There are those that are able to receive their name, to reserve their name within 1 day. In fact, we are at 45 minutes. And you are able to register your business in 5 days, in 3 days. And so sometimes we get surprised when we see complaints on Facebook. I realize that we have two audiences. We have those that come to our offices and they have a different BIPA, an authentic experience of BIPA, where the turnaround has improved. But there are those that perhaps met us a couple of years ago and they are still living with that experience. So we invite them to test the new authentic experience of BIPA. So we are focusing on really giving our customers the experience they deserve in terms of turnaround, in terms of the quality of our products, in terms of even just the space where we are operating from. So that is really our focus. We are also focusing on people. Of course, customer is one of the 3 focus group under our people value. But the other two is, of course, our own employees, and then the other one is our shareholder and stakeholder. So we are intentional in terms of our strategy to really drive that these three are able to serve one another and really create this conducive environment for doing business in Namibia and for innovating in Namibia. We are also focusing on the creative industry. We are introducing some mechanisms that will assist the creators, the authors, to be able to make money from their works and recuperate their investment. We have introduced in our new bill, the copyright bill, we have introduced some copyright levy. Now I know for those that may not be in the know, when they hear levy, they just think that it is more money. I want you to look at it this way, that for every music you have downloaded for free, you have denied someone an income, because someone came up with those lyrics, someone produced that song, and someone performed it. So for every time that you watch a movie for free, you are denying someone their income and their profit. So it is time, and this new administration is very intentional, and it's clear that the creative industry is not for just entertainment and fun. It's not just cultural expression, but it is a business. So we are supporting that initiative deliberately by driving new law reforms. We are also driving law reforms in the space of the business registration, because some of the difficulties that we are having is because we have placed it in our law. That is why it's important for us to have robust and dynamic debates when we are developing our law, because these laws will translate in real experiences. So we are really looking at the corporate law and ensuring that we're no longer going to have a Close Corporation Act and the Companies Act. Will just have one corporate law. So those are some of the things that we are busy driving. I've already spoken to the system that already is in the public domain in terms of the procurement process. So we are just waiting to sign that contract so that we can fast track this. In our mind, Namibia has been waiting for this system for 35 years, and we can wait no longer. So those are some of the focus things that we will be keeping ourselves busy with.
Okay, Ms. Kaundu, this was quite an educative conversation. Any parting shots for the Namibian nation?
Well, life is balanced. There are rights. Just like you have rights as a person, also your legal entity or the legal personality that BIPA creates, it has rights. You have rights to do business in Namibia. You have an opportunity to participate in the public procurements, and you have the opportunity to be a blessing to your community by providing those services. But you also have obligations, and those obligations are to ensure that our market is trusted and it is credible and it is transparent. So we continue to call on all the business community to ensure that, number one, you pay your annual duty. For a closed corporation, is only 120 for the whole year. Someone put it this way, that it's a $10 a month. And for the bigger vehicles, of course, it depends on the number of shares that you have issued. But we invite you to be responsible, to be a responsible legal citizen. We also do have a program that has been running, the waiver program, where we forgive all your penalties, because when you do not comply, you incur penalties. But when you come, if you come now, we will be able to forget about the penalties and just ensure that you only pay your principal debt. The waiver program is running until the 31st of September, so we invite you to make use of this opportunity and ensure that you come and you honor your obligation. That is the only way you can be trusted in the market.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kaundu, on taking your time out to educate the nation on BIPA's mandate and future plans. That is all we had for you from the GIC. It's goodbye.